Welcome to Ticket 1 in your IT support hands-on project. Now, if you look into this unit, we have 4 tabs. This is where you are going to see your staff member that is going to have a request, issue, or anything that is ticket related. In the second tab, you will watch a full video to basically perform the same steps to perform this ticket, to learn from it, and basically you're going to finish it and then submit the image that is going to be shown in this video to get the assignment completed. Third one is basically the same. We are going to get to the labs from here. And also last one is when you finish everything, you will be able to go through this interview prep Q&A to prepare yourself for interviews or something that you can achieve out of it. Now keep in mind that this type of videos are for educational purpose. This means that whatever we do, we are going to explain things. It's not going to be just resolving a ticket, because then of course that's not a course. You can always go and search something on Google to find a quick solution. So now let's get back to the ticket. Basically, we already know who Amy is in your lab. If you open your lab, log in with your username and password that we have given you for this specific service, which is basically separate from your membership login. You already know this by now. So this is Amy right here, which is connected and joined to the domain that you already have in this lab, DCA. In your case, it could be Amy B, C, D, and she's already connected to the domain and she's working in our company. And you already know from your document what department she works in. So you can always visit your Active Directory and look for Amy, and you can find her. Now Amy is having some sort of request. Let's talk about that. My name is Amy. I work in HR department and my machine seems to lack Symantec antivirus protection. Could you please install the necessary applications so we can work on sensitive documents? Now think about this for a second. Make sure you always look at a ticket. Is it a request or is it a issue? So you really need to then go back to your fundamentals that you have learned from our courses, the methodology of troubleshooting or a ticket or anything, right? You have learned this from our basics of IT support trainings before, and you know how to handle this type of, at least from a customer service point of view, you know that. This could be an email, this could be a call, or this could be coming from a ticketing system or some sort of messaging. Whichever the format is, it becomes a ticket when she contacts you as a help desk. So now let me put myself in your shoes. If you were recently hired as a new IT professional, and this is the first time you are opening an email, and let's say somebody really didn't give you any background on how they handle antivirus in their company, think about it. How would you even know what is Symantec antivirus protection? And then what is the method you need to use to install this specific application? So if you're looking at this right now for the first time, that's exactly how you're going to open an email. You should ask yourself a few questions. Number one, it's an application that a company is currently using. So this means the name of that application is this. And then second one is that what is the best method in my company people use to install such application? So you should create some questions, basic ones, and ask your coworkers or whoever is going to guide you in your job. You should go ahead and talk to them. There's no need for you to figure things out on your own at this point, because you already know how to install an application. That's easy. You learned that. And basically, if it's something more advanced, then they will have to show it to you, because the expectation is not that from a IT support point of view. It's not an expectation from a more experienced people or managers to you just somehow magically know how to deploy softwares. That's for experienced people. But maybe from this course, from this project, you also will tackle that. So since I mentioned that this video is going to be all educational and you're going to learn skills that you may not even touch, and that is how Symantec antivirus protection even works, because business level applications, like I mentioned before, somebody have to configure that. So that configuration, you need to see it. And that is your learning part. That's your confidence building part. And then I'm going to show you later on how easy it is to just install this application on a user computer, which is a very small part of it. So you're going to see the whole picture, even though the whole ticket can be resolved in just a minute or two, but we're going to spend some good time just to understand how this type of application works. And that's not just about Symantec. Symantec is for you to just learn it because it's a business level application, and then you're going to put that on your resume, and your resume is going to look good, right? But it could be anything. It could be accounting application, it could be this application, that application. Doesn't matter. If they put something in there and you don't know anything about it, this means it's a business application. They bought it. They know they can handle their support, everything like that. The company knows about it. Okay. So that's not your worry. Your worry is that you need to know how this type of ticket works when you don't know anything about applications, and then what are some of the steps you can take to just solve it if you were in that position. So now let's get practical. Go back to your lab, sign in with your username and password that we have assigned to you in this project. So let's go ahead and log in. In your project company, this application is installed in App Server A. This is going to be a similar approach from most of the companies, because this type of application do require high RAM or high CPU intensive resources, and your companies will have a virtual server running just like this one. So let's maximize it and log into this App Server A or whichever lab you're assigned. So I'm going to log in with the help desk admin password, and you can see that we have installed a Symantec server on this server. It's called Symantec Endpoint Protection Manager. Now you must be wondering, do I really need to know or understand how to install the whole application from scratch? No, you don't need to know that. But if you feel like you want to check how this is done, you can always go to YouTube and search Symantec Protection Manager installation, and you will find a bunch of videos. People have installed it. But that's what a systems administrator will do, the whole installation part. There's a SQL part of it and things like that. So of course at this level you never want to confuse yourself with even more stuff like SQL, and that is not a part of your skill set at this point. So in many companies they will exactly teach you just like this. Of course when you say, hey, can you show me how to install the whole server, they will straight up say, no, that's not a part of your job, but we will teach you how things are set up. So that's exactly what I'm doing in this case. So we have a Symantec server already installed by systems administrator, and this is the server that you have access to. So for us to deploy an antivirus client on that machine, or at least get some sort of package, we need to get into the server. And this would be same for any other application similarly like this. So the username and password is already given to you, so you can have more practice on the server side. We're going to go ahead and log in with the password that we have created for this environment, and you will get that. So you see right here, when you log in, we're going to go accept the agreement, and we'll log into the server manager here. Now the steps that I'm doing right now, this could be a sysadmin already did it in the company, and I'll let you know where you may be doing most of the companies where you can do your part as a help desk. But we are going to create a package from scratch because I want you to know how these things are done. So let's say you have this application, and let's close it. So two ways you can access application like this. It could be a cloud-based server which is running in the cloud, and application. So you go to a web link and you just see this part, like just log in and you just see this part, and that's going to be most likely cloud based access. Or it could be a server based, which is on premises, a server like what we just did in your company, so you can access it this way. Most of these type of products are paid, and it comes with its own licenses. So this is a trial version which you can have a good amount of days here. So now the key here is not to learn this application and this project. The key is to understand the whole point of business level application, so you can have a good understanding when you go to a company. They may have something like this, and if they want you to get trained on this, somebody will train you on this. That's not a part of a help desk training, by the way. They will have to train you on a business level application, because these type of applications are not available outside in the market where people are gonna teach things on it, right? We're just doing this because we want to give you that skill. So what is the next part? A lot of time what will happen next is that you see that this is the home page. This is where managers can see everything, if their machines are protected. Then in most cases, they will have like a monitor section where you will have computers being monitored, like the status, the summary, and things like that. Then another part that people will spend their time is policies. This is where somebody with extensive experience is going to come over here. They're going to create firewall policies, intrusion prevention policies, live updates, exceptions, because sometimes these antiviruses can actually block a real application that could be not known outside, and this may think that this is a virus and it could just totally block that application. So policies are just like group policy. Somebody have a lot of experience in that sort of tiny minute things where they know how things are going to react to it, so they will be controlling this. Then this is where you will see all of your clients in this type of applications. Many of this type of applications have named clients or agents and things like that. So you see here it says install client, so we can have different type of solutions here. And then we also have client policies here. There's install packages here. We don't have any package at this point. So this is where most of your company will design their client setup here. And in some companies, sometimes you may also see that a company will have a very structured design, like 64-bit machine, 32-bit machines, Windows 10, Windows 11 servers, and things like that. That's, of course, not a part of this training. So we're just going to keep things very simple. Then there is an admin section. This is where we will do our setup. So here you can see you're the admin in this account. We're not adding more admins. Sometimes this username and password could be connected to your Active Directory setup. So it could be connected where you just log in through your Active Directory account, and then basically you have access, right? So coming back to this right now, you see when we come to client packages, it comes with a built-in package where it's going to show you some of the packages that you can deploy to the clients. So where are we? How are we going to get these packages? So there are two ways we're going to do this. The first one is to right click, and you're going to click on export. When you click on export here, you see that we can export this package to a folder. But before exporting it, you see we're going to go back here to install settings. So most of the times companies will create different type of settings for one package. So let's say you have servers, then that you can set the settings for that. Or if you have clients like Windows 10, Windows 11 machines, then you will set that settings for that specific ones. So here I can click on add client install settings. I can create my custom settings as well. Client install feature set. So you have these features as well, like where you want to add a full protection, just antivirus. For server, a lot of time people do a little minimal protection than normal clients, because servers, people have a lot of networking going on, websites here and there, stuff like that. They don't want it to be blocked by many protection services. So now the basics are out of the way. Of course, we're not training you on this whole application as administrator. So what will this administrator do? They will just come here and then they will click on export, and then basically they will pick a folder in their computer or their network environment. So in this document area, we're just going to pick the documents folder, keeping things very simple. It says create a single exe file for this package. We're going to create a single exe file. This means it's going to export this package and put it in an exe format. So then you can take that exe and put it inside the network or make it available on the network, and then you go to the Amy's machine and you just directly install it manually. That is the first thing you need to learn, manual, not the deployment method. You're not trying to do something more advanced and not knowing the manual method, because that's important for you at your level. And here on the left side, we're going to keep things default, like full protection, include virus definition, and this is going to be a computer mode, not a user mode. This means anybody logs into that machine will have that everything that we are going to assign. And here you see the package is going to add this machine to our company, and then there's a default group. We are going to add these two as well. So now we're going to click OK here, and the server will do is going to export that package, and we will have an application ready for us to go to the Amy's machine, and we will install it there and then confirm it back in this server. So the package is fully exported. So if we go back to your folders here, let's go back to my documents, and you see in our my documents section we have the applications available in two formats. So what we have, my company default group, and then my company. We're going to use this package, so I always put two because we added two packages in there. So what a lot of companies do is that they have their network share folder already set up in their company, where they put all these applications, and they don't have to like hunt down these applications all over the company. So in this case, you can ask your manager or whoever is guiding you, hey, where do we have these clients in our network? They will probably let you know that it's in this server or this IP address, and then this is the share. Let's say, for example, in this server, we're going to use C drive, go to temp, and we're going to use this temp folder as our sharing folder in the server. So we can go back to the document, and let's cut this machine, like the software, and this is going to put it in our C drive. Let's go back to C drive, temp, and put it right here for us to be able to install it on the network. Now, getting a folder on a network and getting to the files is very basic fundamental skill. You probably learned this in our IT support courses, but you'll learn it from here as well. So we're using temp, and we're going to make this folder available on the network as well. Now, of course, whatever I'm using, the method could be very simple and there's no security behind it. So, of course, in your companies, this may be a little more restricted. You need to really ask them how, if things are not going this way, then you need to ask them how am I going to access this specific folder? So they may tell you if you are having issues. So I'm going to basically right click on that folder, go to properties, and then to make it available on a network, you see there's a share, and I'm going to use advanced share. And once I click on advanced share, I'm going to click on share this folder. You can see I'm using this folder as a share. I'm going to click on permissions, and I'm going to allow everyone for now. As I mentioned, at this point, we don't care about the security part. So I'm going to do everyone and click apply and OK, and apply and OK again. And now you see this is the share path. So now we have the shared path. It says network path. You can use this path from Amy's machine to get to this package and install this client. Very easy ticket. If you look at this again now, since we went through all of this information and talking, and it will make sense now because that's exactly people are going to tell you, but of course they're not going to teach you everything like step by step. But now at least it makes sense to you how you can install clients on the network. So now let's go back to Amy's machine by going back to Amy's machine in your lab. Let's go ahead. You can disconnect here and go back and right click on Amy A or whatever lab you have, and let's do the desktop. And this is a Windows 11 machine, so let's go ahead and double click in it, and you already got the password, same password that we use for the lab. Once you go to the Amy's machine, or let's say in your company, you log into that machine, you're either doing this remotely or maybe you're doing it right in front of that laptop you're sitting in the office. So the first thing you should notice that does this machine have internet connection? If you look on the right side, Amy is having some internet issues as well, and this may not be the same case in your company, but I mean every time you are reaching out to a network destination, the first thing you need to check that, because if your wire is disconnected or something is happening in your networking, then of course networking solution is not going to work. You probably will have to get a USB, download it to USB, that package, and put it inside the machine, and then that's one way. That's just a super manual way. But of course, if you're doing this remotely, you won't be able to do that, and that's not a practice that we do all the time now, to have a USB running around with us, because that could get lost very easily. So in this lab situation, I can clearly tell you that one thing you need to check is your DNS IP. That since we have been doing this lab and many days have been gone by, or whatever happened to the DC machine, because remember we are using a very non professional method of lab here. So we're using a domain controller on a DHCP. So probably that IP got changed, and that is probably 90% what that would happen. So the first thing you need to check is the DC IP. So let's go back and disconnect, go back to the domain controller Active Directory server, and let's go to the connect again and go do the all control delete and log into your DCA or DCB or DCC. Once you log into your domain controller, I'm going to maximize it so you can see everything. I'm going to type CMD and super basic stuff. You learn this from fundamental. How do you find an IP address? IP config. So you can see clearly our IP is changed to 165 because that's not the IP that we used before. So what you need to do in Amy's machine, you need to go ahead and change the DNS. So let's go to the Amy's machine again. And here we're going to type network. And again, there are many ways. I'm just showing you some good ways of like searching things if you don't know how to find things. That's the first thing I like to teach. So you do weave network connection. And you see it's connected to that domain. You need to really fix that DNS now. So let's go to the properties. And it's prompting for that change. That is very important. And I like that it's happening because as a help desk or a person who is going to be helping other people with especially changing like network connections or application installation, you're definitely going to get a problem. A normal user can't do these things. If they can, then there's a big security issue. So we're going to use our help desk account to use this password to go beyond this prompt. You see it just happened. And we're going to go to IPv4 and then properties, and you see it's 163. So IP did change, so we're going to use that. So we fixed the DNS now. And again, I'm going to remind you that in most of the companies, this is not how we do things. We don't change DNSs around. Everything is automatically done. This is only in this lab. Just do remember that. Don't go to your real machines and your work and try to change DNS over there because it's automatically detected by your networking team. They have done that job for you. So now that that's fixed, let's go ahead and close this, and we're going to basically close this window, and let's open another window. Now we want to get the client installed on this machine. So the first method I already talked about, that you can put it in a USB, and that's not the preferred one. And you see our icon got corrected, the networking one. So now if I type here and I type the app server A, this is something that we have been given by that server. And if I do app server A/A, you see a lot of share just came up. We installed and we actually put that client on inside the temp. You see I'm now through Amy's machine, through the network by using // app server A/temp, I am able to connect to that folder via a network. That is another interview question or a skill people can test you on. Okay, another method, which is of course pretty solid method as well. If you type app server, and let's say you don't have the share available, in this company they don't do sharing like that. You can use C drive and $, and then type like that, and basically it's gonna prompt you because now you're trying to getting into that server, another method. So it's definitely going to test your access here. So if I just type help admin A here, help admin A, let me move this prompt and put the password. Never remember your password when you're working with clients. So this way, if it successfully goes into that server and you're able to get into that server, that means that you have pretty good access, right? If it's not, then there's some sort of sharing disabled inside that system, and that probably once it's enabled, the sharing is enabled, then these type of ways will be enabled. Of course, I do not recommend this type of method because if you forgot and you save your password in there, that's a pretty big way to have someone mess up your systems. So we're not going to use this method, but that's another way. You can use this by C drive / and then you're going to get to a whole access. You can do E drive, F drive, whatever, without having the share available. But in this case, we already know we have one network share available, which is the proper way. We have done that because for this whole purpose to learn sharing as well. So we're going to use this, and let's go back to temp. And now we're going to go here and open the folder, and this is the exe for that client. Now, if you look at this whole ticket could be resolved in like 2 minutes, because you can just go to the Amy's machine, type the path, double click on the setup, and you're done. So now you know how the whole process works. So I'm just gonna basically right click on it and run as an administrator the whole setup, the exe on this Amy's machine. Every time you get a exe, MSI, or any applications, it's definitely gonna ask you for the username and password, admin password. That's the security that users can just do this. Sometimes users try to do this and they just can, and they're like, okay, let me call help desk. And that's where they call you to get help. So we're gonna put the password and run this application. So once your installation starts, you just have to wait, and let's just do the whole installation next and finish it, and then we will have a Symantec client on Amy's machine, and that means we will be able to resolve one ticket or request for Amy's. Now be patient, this can take a little while because these applications are pretty high intensive. So after a few minutes, the installation will be over. So when you move your mouse right here on the right side, you see that little icon will show up. This indicates that your antivirus is installed, but at this point it is still not fully configured. Let's go ahead and open this. You may get this message. This basically right now at this point it's doing its thing. It's restarting services, and we just installed it. In most cases you need to restart your computer to get everything working. So my recommendation is when you install an antivirus type of application, in any type of application, it shouldn't be just this one, make sure you give it some time for it to properly configure things and then restart the machine. You don't want to do things very quickly while it's doing its setup, because that could corrupt things. As I mentioned again, antivirus is a big application because it has to check a lot of things, configure, control things. So just be patient with this type of applications. This is a very basic thing to do in a company, but it's actually everyday thing that you will be doing in most of the time for a new client. So you see a little indicator comes up, and that means it's going to tell you something. And when we waited long enough, we get the message that this requires a restart. So if you right click on it again, you see the update policy also showed up, which means that it's about to communicate with the server. So let's go ahead and open the application. When you open the application, you see all of the protection that your company bought or whatever they are paying for is going to show up, and you will see all the protections right here. So the first thing we need to do right now is to restart this machine so we have everything working correctly. So let's go ahead and right click, go to shutdown, restart the machine. Wait a few minutes. You see right here we're going to do restart right now. So let's talk about this, because when you do this in a company, you don't just go ahead and start doing this for, let's say, 50 clients, or let's say if you have to do this in a massive project. This is something that it needs a communication, that you will send a professional email to the whole staff. Hey, we're deploying an antivirus, new version or new client, and this is going to be communicated by your managers or you in a coordinated way. So everybody knows this. Your client are not just going to get this message and say, oh, let's just restart it because somebody did something. And if you're going to do this because of a ticket that somebody sent you a message, you also need to tell them what time is good for you. This cannot be done when they're doing meetings or they have their projects. Imagine you don't do these things, then you're not properly following a help desk or IT support procedures or SLAs and things like that. So this is another part of you being an IT professional, especially in the IT support world. You got to have a good communication with clients. So through the email, you will need to verify the time. As you can see, it requires restart. What if you do this and after some time, the machine is corrupted? What happens then? So you got to give them some sort of time, and also you can do these installations without you testing it on the same type of computers. So most of the companies have images or same type of setup in their own lab environment or their own machines that they have in their company. So these are some tips that I'm sharing you based on more than 12 years or I believe more, 15 at some point experience, because you can't just go and do these things, because you're going to get stuck with a client and then their computer will be messed up if you don't do these protective measures before, doing this stuff. So now I think our machine is connected. When your machine restarts and you see this connect option, give it some time and then click on connect, and then you will see the connection back up. And let's go ahead and log in. So once your machine is started, you're going to come over here and you see that you have a green icon now. That represents that your antivirus is successfully installed. So when you open it like that, you're going to see this check mark. That shows that your antivirus is fully installed, and then also it's up to date with all of these definitions are up to date, and some may take time to get updated. As you can see, you can click on help here, and then you can go to troubleshooting, and inside troubleshooting it will also tell you the server IP address that it's connected to. Sometimes this could be issues. So now we're not going to get into that because the whole point is not to troubleshoot now a next ticket here or some issue here. The point is that you are able to get out there and understand everything from ground up to all the way to installing it on the client. Again, a reminder, this type of ticket can take you only 4 or 5 minutes. But now you see the whole process. Your confidence is probably built at this point because you know how things are done in most of the companies and most of the business applications. It doesn't have to be just this. It could be any other name out there, big names out there, and they will have, if they have a client scenario, you're going to have to do the same process, what I just did. Okay, another way for people to install clients is through the web-based. So if it's like a web-based application, they may just give you a link to download the agent and directly download it on this machine. So you don't have to do the whole sharing part. If it was a cloud-based application or maybe some other, even in the network-based application, they could have a web-based downloads. So you can go to the web browser, type the link, download the agent, but the whole installation is again the same process. So at this point, the next part is that you're done with this. You can send Amy's message. We have successfully installed your antivirus. I tested it. Everything looks good. Your system is protected, and you can use whatever you want to use after that. So they're going to start doing their normal business. Now, if you want to verify this from a server end, let's go back into the server and log into App Server. And let's open your server manager. And let's refresh the client. Let's go back to the client and my company clients. And let's see if we refresh it on the top right side. Let's see what happens. Refresh it one more time. Actually, it's in the default group because remember we picked the default group, and here you go. Amy's right here available to us in the client. So now once the machine is added inside the server, then you have more control. This could be either you or the administrators doing this stuff. Then they can right click, they can delete, switch to the user mode, they can run a command, scan the machine, restart the machine, do a lot of things. They can do a lot of things over here, right? Because now they have more control over that client through an antivirus. There are other ways we can control machines as well. We're going to get to that later on. And the last method that we are not going to cover in this video is by doing installation from the server. You can actually install the client directly even if it's not shared on the network like that, right? So we can click on install the client here. We can select an existing package, and then let's go ahead and do, we're not going to follow the whole thing, but let's say existing package is right here under my document. I'm going to select it and I'm going to click next here. Not able to process a specified package, make sure it's valid. Okay, so maybe we need to actually double click and get into this right here, specifically inside the Symantec. And now we're going to select it. Click next. There you go. We have to actually get inside the package. So once the package is detected, you see it's going and browsing the network. Now this is if things are done correctly, and Microsoft and you do like sharing is available, things like that. You can search the whole network by IP address or computer name. So you could do this remotely, but that's not the part of this ticket. We're going to actually learn this later on when we get to deployments skills. At this point, keeping it manual because this type of skills are not available to most of the techs in the beginning, and it doesn't make any sense for us to jump into that right now. So what do you need to do for your project? Once you have this available, Amy, this is available right here. You're going to take a screenshot. So to take a screenshot, you need to go and open your Symantec server and come onto the computer, right click on it, and here click on edit properties. Once you edit the properties, leave the screen on, and on the right side click on the screenshot button here. If you don't want to use this specific desktop and you're using a VNC connection, then you have to use your own screenshot, but you have to use the same screen to send us a screenshot. So it should have the date on the right side, the whole information, the added information, and the whole screen. And once you click on this little button, it will take a screenshot for you, just like that. Then you're going to go back to your course and you will start assignment. Click on the start assignment here. And here you're going to type, what have you learned from ticket 1? That is basically, consider yourself to be like an interview. So if you click on interview prep, you can get some information from here. Do not copy paste. That's not going to work. Make sure you use your own wording, because at the end of the day, you're doing this all for yourself. So when you come here, type what you have learned and then select that screenshot and send it to us. For example, I clicked on it. I'm picking up that same screenshot that I just took. And here I'm going to click on submit, and you're done with ticket 1. And once we approve it, you're going to see the remarks from us, whether it's going to say great job, whatever that is, and then you will get that marks, and then you're done with ticket 1 and you should move to ticket 2. And that's it for ticket 1. Hopefully you have learned a lot from this video. And I know this could have been done very quickly, but when you're teaching things and you're covering small, tiny things for new professionals, this is exactly how it takes long for the videos. So go ahead and move to ticket 2, and let's learn something more from ticket 2.